Okay, everybody, good afternoon, and welcome to Landfill Advisory Committee meeting number 8, otherwise known as our last meeting. This meeting is called to order at 2:04 p.m. Sorry for the slight late start. My name is John Patihira, and I will be facilitating today's meeting. To provide maximum access, we're hosting a hybrid meeting today. Live in person as well as live online via WebEx. Leave it to us to go through all these series of meetings and to wait to the very last meeting to try different techniques. So please be patient with us if we fumble through some of the online stuff versus the real life stuff. So I believe we have all of our committee members participating live in person today. So I'll skip the formalities for our committee members who might have been participating online. So, Luciana, just to confirm, we don't have anybody, right? No committee members online? I believe we don't. Okay, thank you for checking. Okay, so while Luciana double checks, I'll do a roll call for all of our committee members who are here in person. And when I call your name, please say here or present. Okay, so I'm just going by alphabetical order. Steve Chang. Here. Suzanne Jones. Here. Ken Kawahara. Present. Emmett Kinney. Emmett, we know he's not going to make it today. Same goes for Brennan Morioka, not available today. James Nakatani. Here. Cynthia Resentes. Here. Thank you, Cynthia. And Trisha Kehalani Watson. We were just notified this morning that she's unavailable to attend today's meeting. Okay, so that makes 5 committee members, so we do have quorum. Okay, just confirming, Luciana, nobody online, right? No committee members, thank you. Okay, so quick meeting notice, and I guess this doesn't apply anymore, Josh, because we do not have any committee members online. We did have a plan B if that was the case, but I'm just gonna breeze through this slide right now because it does not apply. Okay, so quickly on the mayor's message, we are lucky today to have the mayor, and I don't know if he's available yet because we got notice just before we started that he might be a few minutes late. Luciana, can you see if he's available? And the reason why we're doing that right now is because he's planning to participate online, so obviously not in this room.
Everyone, this is Ian Schuring. Mayor Blangiardi should be with us in just a couple of minutes. I'm so sorry that he's running a little bit behind.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Ian. So what we'll do, Ian, is we'll just continue on, and as soon as Mayor is available, please just jump in and interrupt us so that he can say his words, okay?
You got it. Will do.
All right. Thanks, Ian. Okay, so just a recap of our progress to date. We've had 8 total meetings so far, starting from October 2021. And we've actually stuck to our agenda really nicely, and we've covered everything that we've needed to. Today is June 6th, and we're celebrating meeting number 8, which again is our last meeting. Hopefully today's meeting is relatively quick. That's the hope anyway. As far as the process goes, it started off with this slide, and we really just wanted to explain to everybody, again, just in case we have people who might be viewing live or the recording of today's meeting, just for their background, this process is really just the start of the process of siting and constructing a new landfill. So the LAC meetings that we've had since October concludes today, but that does not mean this is the end of the discussion, and most importantly, the end of community outreach. It's actually just the beginning. So ahead of us, we still have the planning and EIS phases of this project. It'll probably go through roughly 2024, and then landfill design thereafter, and then the construction of the new landfill site. We're targeting to be completed by March 2028. But obviously, there's a lot to determine between now and then. But the reason for this slide and for my recap is to reiterate that this is just the beginning of the process, and there will be a lot of outreach throughout the next 6 or so years. Okay? So at this time, we'd like to open up this portion of the meeting for any public comments. So because we're running a hybrid meeting, we're going to take in-person comments first, starting with anybody who might have registered for comments. And then when that's done, if there's anybody who did not register for comments, would like to come up and make their comments on any of the agenda items. And then after the in-person part is done, then we're going to open up to the online public comments. So similarly, we're going to do online registered participants and then online unregistered participants. Okay, so this is some of the formality stuff, so please excuse me as I read. Here are the procedures for today's oral testimony. Each speaker will be, in-person speaker, will be asked to come to this podium where there's a microphone. Please state your name and identify which agenda item you're speaking on. Comment periods will be limited to 2 minutes, and when reminded of the time, please conclude your remarks as promptly as possible. If you did not register but would like to provide comments, please raise your hand either in person or virtually and be acknowledged by either me or Luciana, who is monitoring the online activity. And we'll be asked to state your comments at that time. Okay, so I'm going to open it up now to the in-person comments. My understanding is that there's nobody registered for in-person comments. Is there anybody who did not register but would like to make comments? No? Okay, so Luciana, moving on to the online participants. I believe there are 2 online members who would like to provide public comments. So the first one, we're going to start with Raquel Achiu, and then after Raquel is done, then we're going to invite Kieran Polk to say a few words as well. So why don't we start with Raquel Achiu. Raquel, if you're available, please go ahead.
Aloha, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to just have a comment here. I am Raquel Achu. I'm out on the North Shore. I just wanted to participate and just give a note, as I'm sure you've read notes from our community in the past. You know, obviously our main concern would be the locations that are desired out on the North Shore. The immediate and foremost concern would be the placement over an aquifer. There is great concern within our community about the possible compromise that could create. Also, we've had a landfill in the past. I believe we're just coming up to that 30-year mark, if we haven't already, of its closing. So I would just venture to ask that we really consider and pour more research into other alternatives. Obviously, nobody wants a landfill in their community, and I understand that. However, I think there's probably alternatives that we may have missed. And if there's an opportunity to explore those options, I'm all on board to help with that as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raquel. LAC members, are there any questions for Raquel? No? Okay, hearing none. Raquel, thank you so much for your time and your comments today. We really appreciate that.
Mahalo so much. Have a great day.
You too. Take care.
Hi, everybody.
moving on to
Sorry to interrupt. I have Mayor Blangiardi here.
Okay, the mayor is available. Ian, is that correct?
Yes. Hey, everybody.
Okay. Mayor, please
You
take
hear
it
me
away.
okay? Look, this,
Yes, we can hear you.
first of all, I appreciate the preemption or the ability to preempt your meeting. And really, the reason for this is a very long overdue mahalo I know you people have put in lots of time and effort. I think I've been told it was 8 meetings going back a number of months ago. But at the end of the day, I can assure you that this landfill issue has been a conversation I find myself repeatedly in across the board with so many different people in the community. So knowing the time, energy, and effort you've made to help us on this very sensitive matter and what it represents is, I just want to really, in a very sincere way, express my most heartfelt appreciation and gratitude.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you all. Is Brennan Morioka in there?
Brendan Morioka is not here today. Unfortunately, he had to jump on a plane. I think he's on a flight right now as we speak.
Because I need to give him a call on something totally separate from this. I've been meaning to give that. I thought I'd take advantage if he was in there today, but thank you. So look, I'm really sincere. This is Josh I'm talking to right now, or is it?
I think it's everybody.
It's everybody?
In person, yeah.
Okay, I just really, we'll see where all of this comes out, but this was an important matter that you folks have taken on, and we really appreciate all the help.
Very good. Thank you so much, Mayor, for your time.
Thank you very much. Take care of yourselves.
Okay. So moving on to the online comments. Karen, if you're available, please unmute.
Aloha, everyone. This is Karen Polk, Kapolei Chamber of Commerce Executive Director. And I think you all know that we have submitted testimony through this process. And I stand on this testimony. I think the key points at this juncture is, you know, I've spoken to the voice of the West Side, and I think it's been noted that no community wants to have this in their backyard. Well, we've had it for 30 years. We appreciate all the efforts going forward and to make this happen, but we do want the consideration of that first and foremost. And then also, you know, should that get to a point where there is any kind of extension or this has to go further, that be mindful as well in terms of how much longer we would have the Waimanalo Gulch landfill extended if it came to that. I also do want to point out a big mahalo for that consideration of looking at the community benefits package. This was something that years ago was put in place for our community to withstand and uphold the landfill. And so want to really just put on the record and add to my testimony that you know, if there can be something on the West Side for those years, whether going forward we host the next one or even for the time that's been, it really needs to be looked at on a larger level and expanded. You know, there's also American Rescue Plan Act funds available. That may be something to look at in this juncture, but you know, I just want a better lens because I don't think the intent of that community benefits package was ever fully extended to what it was supposed to be years ago. So I just wanted to point that out too, and thank you for bringing that up in your recommendations panel. Thank you so much for your time.
Very good. Thank you, Karen. LAC members, are there any questions for Karen? No? Okay. Thank you, Karen. Thanks again for your time. Not just today, but in previous meetings as well.
You're welcome.
Just as a reminder, we are recording today's session, and the recording will be posted on the Department of Environmental Services website, specifically the refuse website, and that is www.honolulu.gov/opala. The recording of today's meeting will be posted shortly after today's meeting, and you can also find all the recordings from all the previous meetings that we've had at that website. So please check it out if you're curious. All right. Josh, if we can jump back to the presentation, please. Oh, yeah, sorry. Thank you. Are there any unregistered participants, online participants that would like to provide comments? If so, raise your hand or something so Luciana can see. Thank you for the reminder, Josh.
Star 3 on phone if you're on the phone.
Star 3 on phone if you're calling in. Luciana, anything? No? Okay, very good. Okay, so moving on. Okay. It's not working, so if you can. Okay, so as Josh gets the screen back up, just moving on, we're gonna do approval of meeting minutes. So committee meeting number 7 minutes were distributed electronically for review to the LAC members on June 1st. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of LAC meeting number 7 held on April 4, 2022?
I move to approve. I'll second.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Cynthia. So it is moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor to approve the minutes from meeting number 7, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Thank you very much. Next is to do presentation and discussion. I think we only really have one item, and that's going to be presented by Josh, who is our fearless leader through this effort. So Josh Nagashima, please take it away.
All right, good to see you all again. Thank you for coming. So I'm going to be going over the Landfill Advisory Committee final report. So we've provided the report. We actually provided the recommendations by the LAC about 4 or 5 weeks ago for the LAC to review, and that was posted online at the same time. The report was provided about 2 weeks ago, and that was posted online at that time as well. And then we provided the executive summary to the report late last week, and that was posted online at the same time as well. So that was included with the draft of the report that is currently online. So if you go to our website, as John mentioned, www.honolulu.gov/opala/new landfill, the report is there. And we'll be putting any updates to the report after this meeting up there as well. So I'm going to be going over, what we intended with the report, and then we're going to get into a discussion period, and then the LAC will move to accept the report if that is the direction we want to go in. So the first part is the intent of the report. So we intended that the report would document the entire LAC process. So basically meeting number 1 to, well, actually before meeting number 1, how the LAC was formed, and getting into meeting 1, all the way up to today's meeting. And it would capture the purpose of the LAC, how we identified the potential sites from beginning to end, from areas to individual sites that were scored and ranked, the evaluation criteria, how that was developed, where it started and where it ended up and where it ended up being scored, the results of the site scoring and ranking, and then the LAC recommendations based on those scores and rankings. So the report itself has 6 parts. Starts with the executive summary, which is a telling of the entire report in short format, followed by the introduction to the report, the purpose of citing a new landfill, and so forth. The formation of the Landfill Advisory Committee, the identification of potential landfill sites from beginning to end, the site scoring methodology, how that works, and how we got the scores in the end, so the results of the site scoring and ranking and the LAC recommendations. So appended to the report is these appendices. These are basically the backup documents. Well, the first appendix, Appendix A, will be the individual LAC member statements. So those have not been submitted yet, but they're just appended to the report. So we're allowing the LAC members to each submit an individual statement telling, what they thought was, good or bad about the process maybe, and any recommendations that were not captured as a whole for the group that maybe each member wants to express. And we provided that format to the LAC, so all of them will be uniform. And that's on the website as well, if you want to see what that looks like. All the other materials were materials that were provided along the LAC process. So whether it was data related to certain criteria or scoring sheets that were used to help the scoring process, those are all included. All the documents that were provided along the way are included in the report as an appendix. Okay, so now knowing what's in the report, I'm going to go over the edits that were made to the report since it was provided to the LAC and the public. So we did get, during the process, we told the LAC members that they were able to submit comments to us individually, but not to each other, so that we can obey sunshine principles. And so, while these ones don't cover those parts, I'll get into those comments later. Actually, there was only one. But as a way of being transparent, we wanted to let you know all the changes that we made. So there were punctuations added where appropriate, and these were actually provided in the latest version along with the executive summary. And then the word count was added as a continuation of the table, 4.1, because it was split between pages. So this first change, major change, was made to the executive summary, and this was based on two LAC members' comments. They had pretty much the same comment, which was that the LAC recommendations did not fully capture what was discussed during the last meeting. So this is the change that we put in. So basically it says that the LAC approved a motion to not recommend any of the final landfill sites due to their location in the no-pass zone. And the LAC made additional recommendations to the city that they should explore amending Act 73 to allow more suitable sites outside of the no-pass zone and request more time from the LUC to explore amending Act 73, looking at federal lands, federal lease lands, state lands, and maybe parcels that might only have one house for eminent domain, so other eminent domain options. So we'll get into this discussion shortly, and you can let us know how you think our change is. The other change that wasn't captured but was more of an internal edit was that we wanted to let everybody know that we did start with a list of over 30 professionals that we considered putting on the LAC. And before we narrowed it down to the 11, we looked at their backgrounds, availability, and potential willingness to serve on the committee. And we tried to get the best members that would cover as many disciplines as possible to narrow it down to the 11 that were first invited to the committee. As you know, the membership of the committee ended up being 9 who accepted, and then one person had to resign. But this was the change that we added in. All right, so so from this point, sorry, I guess we should say, we're going to allow the LAC to discuss the changes that were made and then vote on acceptance. And after that, we will present the report to the mayor, who will make the decision on whether or not we're going to pursue any sites, if we go to another siting, or how we proceed anyway. All right, so opening it up to the committee for discussion.
Josh, the question I have is, do you want to go through the edits and then talk about other things that may need to be changed? I just picked up one grammatical error or grammatical correction that I would like to see.
Yeah, so let's go through the changes that were made first.
Okay.
Then when we get to the other changes, I can bring up the Word document and then we can see where those changes are.
Okay.
All right, so if you'd like to discuss the changes that were made.
So, I'll start. I think that the recommended changes here capture better the discussion that we had at our last meeting, which was that nobody was in favor of citing a new landfill over a drinking water aquifer. And that's, you have that information in here in the bowels of the document, but I think it's good that it was recommended that it be put so succinctly in the executive summary that this body is having a difficult time placing anything like this, any kind of facility like this, over a drinking water aquifer, considering the recent issues that we've had with effects to our drinking water aquifer already. We're not interested in compounding that issue in the future. So from my standpoint, if you'd like, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this change as being more succinct as far as the position of the LAC.
Okay. So the idea was that you would approve the report with edits at the end, but if you'd like to make a motion to approve just this edit.
Personally, I find that it's easier if we go ahead and make the motions as we go along.
Okay.
Rather than everybody have to remember what we're positioning and taking a vote on at the end, because you may or may not approve everything.
Sure. Okay. All right. If you'd like to make the motion then.
I just did.
Okay.
I
Would
need a
anyone like
second.
I second her motion.
Sorry, do we need to, like, have the actual edit?
I think that is the edit.
on the screen.
Okay, good, just as written,
As
like that,
written.
you would accept that?
Yeah.
Okay. You sure? You good?
I'm good with it.
Okay,
Whether or not the request is gonna result in more time, in my mind, I doubt it, but there's nothing that compels me to say, don't put that one in there.
okay, so why don't we move ahead? Cynthia, it sounds like you're motioning to approve this change as written on, as edited on the screen.
Yep,
Do we have a second?
you had
Suzanne,
three of
second.
them.
Okay, so this change has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion from the committee members?
I have a question.
Please.
So, I agree wholeheartedly with the motion, but, as we go down the road, so, like Act 73 and LUC, I think it's so easy which is hard, is that somebody else makes the decision for us to say, look at this, without having the knowledge of what we're up against, right? So this is the odd thing. Like, LUC is like, I think they just kick the can down the road. You pick a date and you do this. And Act 73 was not really thought about, like, what's the next move? So I think that, I'm not sure who's gonna do what for the next step, right? We're gonna pass this motion, it's gonna make the recommendation, so after that, if the mayor doesn't pick a site,
Right.
what do we do after that? That was.
Okay. So that's a big picture type question, like where do we go from here, considering this is the current situation? Dr. Babcock, I invite you up to maybe talk about that.
Well, I think we should pass the motion first.
Yeah,
This is discussion.
if I can jump in, I think the problem that we have here is that the LUC's DNO came out before Act 73.
Sure.
Act 73 came out after the LUC positioning
Right?
of 2028, which itself was based on the record that they had, that the city said 7 years to put together the pathway to have a new landfill put in place. So the LUC did their decision in order, and then the legislature came in with Act 73, which threw everything up in the air.
Okay.
So I hear where, Mr. Nakatani is coming from, but, I mean, this is just a circumstance in which it occurred, which has nothing to do with, unfortunately, which position we can take as far as saying, yes, we're gonna go this way or that way. All we can do is deal with what's on the plate. And what's on the plate is we got Act 73 to comply with, along with the rest of the federal and state regulations, and it is what it is.
Okay, understood. So relative to the motion that's on the floor right now, I understand that there might be a bigger discussion, a broader discussion, and we can have that after we vote on this issue, what's on the screen right now. So shall we stick to what's on the screen right now? So we have a motion, and any other discussions on this specific edit at this time? Please.
More a comment, to add to the discussion, and I apologize to my fellow board members, for missing the last meeting. You know, when I joined, my intent was to make every meeting, but unfortunately, there was a staff member that was supposed to cover for me, and his father passed away, so I had to go to a meeting for him. I agree with what the committee came up with at our last meeting. I support this language. I think it's such a big critical issue about no path zone that I think it should be, you know, pointed out explicitly. So that I'm in favor of the motion in the second.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Any other discussion, thoughts on this? Okay, if not, let's do a quick vote on this. So all in
John, I
favor?
have one more.
Yes, sir.
Just, so how does this, you know, we passed this motion, we made the recommendation for a site, so how does this conflicting language or, thought comes out at the end? I mean, out of curiosity, I know the mayor makes the final decision.
Right.
You know.
So Josh, I'm gonna take a stab at this and correct me if I'm wrong. So basically, the recommendation coming out of this committee is, you know, a ranking of the sites that were considered, but the underlying tone is that this committee is not okay with any of the sites because they happen to be above the no-pass zone.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry, I wouldn't even go as far as to say as the ranking is the recommendation of the committee. It's just the way that it fell based on the scoring, right? And the scoring was done by the committee. But the recommendation is the recommendation as detailed here
That's fine.
and in the report.
And it's gonna be up to, from this point moving forward, it's gonna be up to the city and the administration to decide what happens as the next step. Okay, we're good? All right. Okay, so all in favor of the edits that you see in front of you, to the final report, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Thank you very much. I think we have one more edit, at least what we know of right now, right? Okay, so you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we did consider over 30 candidates initially when we were putting together the LAC. And so we wanted to have that captured in the report as well. After looking at the backgrounds, availability, and potential willingness to serve, we extended the invitation to 11 individuals, and that was the actual process that happened. So yeah, if you're okay with this edit, we would request a motion to accept the edit.
I move to approve, what is stated on the screen here.
Thank you, Ken. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you, Jimmy. Any discussion on this topic? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor to approve the edit that you see on the screen before you, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, please say no. Ayes have it, and this motion is carried. So I think at this time, Josh, if there's any other discussions, right? If we want to just to open it up to any of the committee members, if you folks might have additional edits or suggestions. Cynthia?
I have one. Page 1-3 in the executive summary, under table 1.1. I don't know about anybody else. I hate double negatives in sentences.
Okay.
And it says, note, the LAC ranked the sites but generally disagreed that landfills should not be delivered over drinking water aquifers. Can we correct that to
Sure.
the LAC ranked the sites but generally agreed that landfills should not be developed over drinking water aquifers or resources?
Okay, so Josh is pulling this up as we speak, and I think the intent is to make live edits so that we can make sure that we're on the same page.
Keep going.
Sorry, what section was it again?
1-3, page 1-3.
Oh,
Keep
down.
going, keep going.
Down.
The table, right on the bottom, your footnote on the table.
Josh, maybe if you can zoom in a little bit so our viewers can see.
And like I said, it's just a pet peeve of mine.
So the note,
It actually changes the meaning of
It does.
of the statement.
Yeah.
So it's, we generally agreed that landfills should not be developed over drinking water. We didn't generally disagree.
Anytime you put double negatives in a sentence, it just confuses the issue.
got it. So Josh, the suggestion is for it to read,
Agreed.
LAC ranked the sites but generally agreed that landfills
Should not be
should not be developed.
over drinking water resources.
So what you see before you, Cynthia, is what you had in mind?
I want disagreed changed to
Yep.
agreed.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
have it in track changes with the DIS process.
Oh, there's a red line.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hard to see, yes.
Maybe if you
I see it
can
now.
zoom in even further, Josh, that might help.
I see it. Got it.
Okay,
Do we vote on this now too?
so I guess,
One
let's
at
be
a time?
consistent. Okay,
Well,
so,
if it changes the meaning, I think it's good that we do.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so this edit was proposed or motioned by, Cynthia. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Second, Suzanne, thank you. It has been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this?
Nope.
If not, all in favor of this edit to the final report, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Ayes have it, and this motion is carried. Any other edits or comments to the report from our committee members?
If none, then we're gonna stop sharing this, and then we'll move on to the vote, do the presentation.
So Josh, just to reiterate then, so we've made motions, and voted on individual edits, but at this point, we're gonna be asking committee members to vote on the acceptance of the final report as edited. Yes?
Correct.
Okay.
Minus individual,
Minus the individual statements, which will be placed in Appendix A of the report. And those individual statements will be unedited too. It'll just go right into the report. Okay?
If acceptable, you can make a motion to accept the report with edits as made today and previously.
I move to accept the report.
Thank you, Suzanne. Do I have a second? Ken, thank you for the second. So this has been, moved and seconded. Any discussion on accepting the final report with the edits discussed? No discussion? Okay. All in favor of accepting the final report with edits,
Aye.
withstanding the Appendix A individual statements to be placed in later? Please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, ayes have it, and the motion is carried.
Congratulations on the
Congratulations.
final report.
Very good. Okay, so last part, announcements. Oh, Josh and I are fighting. We're both controlling.
What a reveal.
Okay. Okay, so just a quick announcement. The individual statements are due to Josh, right? Email Josh by June 20, 2022. And as we mentioned, these are going to be inserted into Appendix A unedited, and that will complete the final report. I believe at this time, Roger, if you'd like to come up and make some comments and even address, you know, the bigger picture question that Jimmy raised, that'd be great. So Dr. Roger Babcock, Director of the Department of Environmental Services.
Thanks, John. I want to also thank everybody for your time. It's been kind of a long road. There was a lot of things to learn about and see the site, see the existing facilities, the existing landfill, and go through all the sites and the voting, and to really think things through and ask a lot of good questions and expressing your concerns. You know, it's been a long process, meaning before you as well, right? There have been other advisory committees, and we've had the same landfill for a long time, and you know, there is a need to move on, and that is what is intended. And so, you know, your committee was a really important part of the process, and the process will continue. It's not easy, but we have to keep moving forward, and we will use this report and your recommendations as we move forward. So, and we know that you are some of the most educated folks on this topic that we have, you know, in the county now, and so your additional participation as we do move forward will be most appreciated. I'll ask for that now, because as you know, there are several steps that have to still happen before a new landfill could become in operation. So we hope that you will continue to assist us, but I really want to thank you for your time. Hopefully, Jimmy, that kind of answers your question a little bit in terms of how we go forward. We don't know exactly how we're going forward yet. We've got to get the mayor fully to read the report and understand where we're at, and explore what our options are, especially including the recommendations that you've made, and proceed, you know, in the best way we can.
Yeah, I think my comments were, I mean, being presumptuous, but the mayor might make a decision on the land site, and then I guess that takes care of that. But if it doesn't make that, you know, decision, or it took our recommendations, or take the committee's recommendations, what I kind of see is like it's not solution oriented, and the task they gave to this committee is kind of unfair, because it gave you very little options, you know, and it's almost like impossible, you know. I mean, if Red Hill wasn't an issue, then, you know, maybe we would have slid through, but if Red Hill became an issue, it's very concerning. So I'm thinking that I think Act 73 was politically motivated. I mean, when you go up to the ledge, who knows what happens, right? But with LUC, I mean, to make a decision on just giving you a timetable, or I'm not sure if that kind of discussion happened at the LUC to look at the situation and give the city more options, you know, and that's the biggest concern, is that because I think there's going to be another committee, and they're going to be faced with the same task, but hopefully it'll be, I guess, more informed, more agencies informed, LUC, the LEDs, and the city, be more informed to look at a collective solution versus just put it on the city because you made this promise and everything else like that. I think that's the easiest thing to do. It says you've got 10 years to make a decision, pick a landfill, right? So that's only my concern.
Yeah.
And I want to disagree with that just a little bit, because I've been involved with this issue since 1998. And it's been an ongoing tit for tat between community, the LUC, Planning Commission, And, you know, what are we gonna do with Waimanalo Gulch? We've had at least 3, if I'm not mistaken, 3 closure dates already listed back in 2003, 2008, 2012, and now it's 2028. So I get where you're coming from, but it's not as if this is a unique individual determination where the Land Use Commission said, we don't care what you say, this is a time frame that you've got. Because it's been a running dialogue for essentially 20 years. I think that the last hearing that the LUC had to take this to decision in order was, look, we've done this so many times. You guys have said this is how long it'll take to identify and get a new landfill up and running. Do it. Because you yourself said that's what you could be able to do. As I mentioned earlier in the meeting, Act 73 was the hook that grabbed everything and took it sideways. So, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but the other side of the coin is, you've got to understand, this has been a 20-year discussion, debate, and dialogue that has been going on so far, plus years.
Yeah, and I wasn't, just putting the blame on anybody. I read the reports on various, committees, right, studying this thing. And, they made, for us, not knowing, not living on the west side. I live on the west side, but not the west side. You look at it and they need some recommendations and everything else like that. Okay, I can see where, we get everything, right? We get the power plants, we get the sewer plants, we get everything. So, but it doesn't help us solve our problems, and so that's the thing I'm saying. And I know because, you kept up, every mayor has, kind of like, okay, we did this, you go figure it out. And it's not that easy to just go figure it out, but this last, I think, task that they gave us, really restricted us from making any kind of recommendations. Federal lands, I was looking at one of the issues and it's like, okay, what about, site down by the soccer field, that.
Waikio Peninsula.
Right, and it says, well, it's a tsunami inundation zone. Well,
and it's got all the bunkers.
Landfills on Kauai, that's right next to the ocean, so I'm not sure how that impacts it. But again, I think it's just a little bit of frustration that, we sit here, we looked at all the, and very educational what's going on, and I think that the transformation on getting rid of waste will change. It'll get better, techniques and everything, recycling, how we handle it. It's gotten a lot better. You don't see like the old days where you just throw rubbish and, just cover it up and everybody's, you see animals and people scavenge and this kind of stuff. That's not the landfill we have anymore. But again, it's challenging. And I just hope that we have better information or, people that make the decisions have an idea of what it needs to go through. I'm not disagreeing with you. I know you work hard on the landfill and have a concern on the west side. We do too, right? We get everything, Well, why don't you put the population on the west side? What about the east side? So that kind of stuff. So we fight over water. You want all the water on that side. You don't want water on this side. All of the issues kind of commonality. That's what I don't understand. We're just venting at this point, saying, this is the frustration.
Yeah, thanks for that comment and everyone's comment. I think there's some really valuable, you folks have a lot of really valuable insights, so I do encourage you and hope that you will write something for Appendix A, because the mayor will read everything that's in the report, so it's important. And you're right, this is just another snapshot in time. It's been a long road, and there could be further changes before we get to the end. So, but we can't anticipate everything, but we just gotta keep.
The one request I would make is that as quote unquote, the city goes forward with their process, determining what they're going to do, whether they're going to ask for a district boundary amendment or not, what the recommendation is going to be to the planning commission to go back to the LUC, however that process goes. If you would keep this advisory committee kind of in mind and give us a heads up. I don't know about anybody else, but like I said, I've been following this from '98. I've been a witness for the contested case hearings and the interveners and have followed it all the way through. So, for me, I'll keep on top of it, but I think, it would be a good idea to keep all of us involved, or as far as where you're headed, especially with our report.
Yeah. That's a good comment, and I mean, I can tell you that the work of the committee is going to be done, today with this report, and that's much appreciated. But we have no problem keeping you informed of where we're going from here. Yeah. Any other questions for me? Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so just to maybe confirm Cynthia's request, Josh, would it be okay if after today's meeting, you were to send out an email to all the committee members and ask who wants to be kept informed with progress? And then, maybe not everybody, but whoever wants to be can be emailed periodically. Is that good? Yep. Would that work for you, Cynthia?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so thank you. Okay, so next up, a quick announcement from Josh, who's going to be speaking on behalf of Refuse Division. Josh?
All right, thank you. We're at the end of the road, and, first off, talking for Refuse, thank you very much for participating on this committee. We chose you for a very important reason, that you're, like John mentioned, the experts in your respective areas, and you have varied experience, and you've been very involved in the past with landfills, many of you. So thank you for participating. And yeah, Cynthia, you all hold a special place in our heart, Refuse's heart, to continue on, contributing to this process. And so we're very happy to keep you informed of what happens here regarding the landfill. On a personal note, it was very nice to meet you all, and I was happy to work with some of you again and meet new faces, so thank you for that. And for everyone that's here and tuned in, this is not the end. This is just the end for the LAC, so we're planning to keep engagement. We're going to try to keep engagement in this process. I think, we've found very much through this process that there's not a lot of people know about, what the refuse division does, how much we really use the landfill, which is not much at all compared to how much trash we take in. And that's the kind of education we want to get out there to the public at large. And so everybody listening, just let everybody know that this is an important issue and that they should tune in. And we'll try to keep up, our outreach on the website. The website's going to stay alive, and any updates will be posted there. And social media, we'll try to post any important updates there as well. So, yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Josh. Okay, so my turn. Just real quick, as the meeting facilitator, it's been really interesting to observe the process, and really rewarding for me to get all of our committee members' input throughout this process, valuable input. And we tried our best to make it as engaging as possible for our public to participate. COVID had other thoughts, which, created new challenges, but I think we did the best that we could to to get everybody involved and informed. So for that, I thank Luciana here and our tremendous IT team who made it all happen, and Josh, of course, you know, for all of his hard work. We've been riding his back for how many months now? Over 8 months, Josh. You got a strong back. So thank you very much for doing that. But most importantly, thank you to the committee members for dealing with me, putting up with me. Really do appreciate your time and commitment throughout this whole process. Okay, so with that, before I start crying, most important thing for today is there any other business to discuss? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn LAC meeting number 8, our final meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Suzanne, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Ken, thank you very much. All in favor of closing business today, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then that does it. LAC meeting number 8 is officially adjourned at 3 p.m. Thank you so much for your participation and contribution. Are we done? Yes, we can stop. Thank you, Luciana. Thanks, everybody.